Okay, so I didn't intend this for this to be a two-part video, but my camera only lets me record for 20 minutes, and as I started making some more rounds, you're just left alone with your thoughts here while you're kind of in a robot mode producing rounds. So I figured I would just share a few more tips about what I do once I am done loading. What I have here, and probably the best thing for you to do would be to pause the video. I will leave this up for a few seconds so it's easy to pause, and then I'll move it down. You can pause it again. Just a helpful idea. This is a book I keep. I record every load in here. I mark if it's a good load or not a good load. If I intend to use it for hunting or target, I give each load a number. This way, I label the boxes with the number. I usually bring this book with me, and I make any notes. The notes will be along the bottom there. In the top is the components, so I put everything that I'd use to make it. I do weigh a few random ones throughout the production. Also, how many I've made and the date I made them, what feet per second they are, what wads I use. Also, down in the results, if it was a good crimp or a bad crimp, I do recommend before you start making massive amounts of rounds, you make like a box of each different load. You really don't want to waste components. I had that problem where I had some federal holes that got wet. They were all misfiring, and so I don't use the federal holes anymore because they have a paper wad inside of them, paper base. They had gotten wet, and I guess they weren't dry or everything. When I reloaded them, half of them didn't fire. It was just the primers going off. So that was sad. I did take most of them apart and reload them into other holes. Basically, the reason I only use Gun Club now. I do use some other Remington holes. The STSs are nice. I use those for my hunting rounds just because they're a different color, and I can tell the difference between those. I know how they cycle, the recoil, and the overall performance. I also make, on the very next page here, is a shot card. So just made it in, I think, maybe paint or something, printed out a whole bunch of them. And this shot card I do, now typically when you pattern a shotgun, it's a 30-inch circle at 25 yards. But it really doesn't matter if you're comparing shot to shot. So I'll just show you, for instance. So what I'll do is 25 yards, I'll take a shot at it, and I will record the pattern. So here's one that I've shot at. And then on the next page, there are tables. I don't know if I have one handy. That oh, here you go. Here's a table that shows you, and it's probably gonna be hard to read, but it shows you the size shot. So you see 7.5, 3.5, 250 pellets per ounce. So you can calculate how many pellets roughly are in each shell. And then what I do is see if I have here I calculate what shotgun I used, what choke I used, how many pellets were in each ring, and basically I do the percentage of pellets in the 9, 10, 8, 9, 10 rings. So you can see we got 114 of the 345 pellets, right, in the 33%. And that tells me that that's a pretty good shot density. I have other ones here that, run at 19%. So it may seem like useless info because you're just breaking clays, and you only, there's 350 pellets, and you only need one to break your clay bird. But if you can find out what works best for you, and compare it to some factory loads, you can then see that you're actually making rounds that are better than factory, and you can find what rounds work in your guns. And once you get a favorite load, then it's very simple to refer back to that book. Put your bushings in and just start cranking away. So like I said in the beginning, a little bit of test and tune. That's why I have 8 or 10 different types of wads. the wads are relatively expensive. It's like $20 or $12 or $15 for 500. Cheapest part of the round. I also make labels. So if you look at this is a label here. I also have these. And what I do is I actually just stick them on the box. So I actually collect when I'm at the range any boxes people are throwing away that still have some good life in them. So for instance, here's alright. And I'm just going to block the grains on there because I'm not really supposed to share, I guess, the load data. But I put the feet per second down here. I put what load it is in my load book, shot, the wad I'm using, the primer, and the powder. And this way, when I go out shooting, I kind of know what to expect out of those rounds. I basically only make, I would say, maybe 2 or 3 different kinds of rounds, depending on what shot I have available. I usually when I'm using 7.5, I bump it up to 1 1/8 ounce, and I get it real fast. So that's fun for some long distance shots. But when I'm running on the 8 shot, I try to save some lead, run them at 1 ounce. I did recently try and do 7/8. I'm gonna see how that works. My hunting rounds, which is just for pheasant, I load those up to about maybe 1,400 feet per second, a little faster. That's 5 shot, and I do 1 1/4, so a lot more lead. It's a little more expensive to shoot, but hunting rounds are about $75 a case. If you buy like Kent Fast Lead, which is the equivalent of what I'm making, and I'm still only making it for maybe $50 a box or a case. That's pretty much it. I recommend staying organized. Be safe. What your powders, keep them stored in a cool, dry place. That's one reason why I don't deprime and prime these, because I don't know when I'll get around to loading them. If I knew I was going to load them today, I would deprime and prime in one step, and then all I have to do is these 3 steps, and it makes the reloading a lot faster. But because I don't know the real environment down here in this basement, I do not like to leave the powder or the shells exposed for too long. So last thing I do usually is prime them and then load them. And like I said, once you get good, you're gonna see that you're gonna have ones that crimp real bad in the beginning. One thing to mention is you don't want to press too hard. Let's see if I can find one. Okay, I had a few in here that did that. You don't want to press too hard on your downstroke in this final station because you can kind of bend the case. I know I had 1 or 2, but here we go. So you see that? It'll probably be fine because it didn't make the overall dimension too big, but let me just shake it in the light there. You can see that dent in there. And what that is from on this final stage here, when you're pressing down, I gave it too much, and for whatever reason on these 1 ounce loads, it does that. Doesn't seem to do it on any of my other loads. All my other loads I can really crank down on that, but it shouldn't take much. And you'll see, like sometimes you just got to give it what it needs for it. It shouldn't protrude. If we're looking at it this way, it shouldn't protrude over. It should be relatively flat. And sometimes you need some filler if they're going down too deep, because if they go too deep, what happens is they'll kind of be open here and they'll kind of leak lead. Another tip, I'll just show you one more thing because we got time. So these are some of my hunting rounds here. And you can see these are loaded almost to the max. And what I do here is actually on the tip, I do a drop of clear nail polish that seals them in case you drop them in the snow or whatever. I don't know if it really matters. It also is supposed to give a consistent open, so the pressures kind of remain consistent and you get more consistent shot out of them. But you can see how nice those load. These here are 5 shot, copper plated 5 shot with running probably, let's see. Yeah, around 1350. I also have some rounds in here that I've brought up to almost 1500. You can see here's another one with a good crimp. A little deeper dish than I want, but a nice crimp. These are running almost 1,500 repeat per second. Really good. The fast loads are good for birds that get out there real far. The faster the load, the less lead time. What you want to be careful of is you can't go too fast because, from what I read, they deform. The pellets will actually deform in your barrel because of the high velocity. They'll bounce off each other, bounce off your barrel, and kind of get egg shaped. And then when they leave your barrel, they take off. So you're more better just, I try to keep them 1,400 is all you're going to need. Any faster than that, you're dealing with the recoil. Any slower than like 1,100, especially on the lighter loads like 1 ounce 7/8, you're gonna see trouble with those cycling in a semi-auto. If that, if you're trying to make a low recoil round for a female shooter or something, you can achieve that by running those light loads. Probably better to run them in a pump, but you can achieve those light recoil. To me, it seems like even the rounds I'm loading, they're faster than the factory gun club. Gun club's around 1,200. I run them at 1,250, 1,275, same weight. I don't know what pattern the gun club uses, but there seems to be more recoil in those to begin with. So I think I feel like I'm making better rounds that are actually have less recoil to begin with. So anyway, thanks for watching. Again, if you've stuck around here for this part 2, I'm going to keep on loading here until I run out of powder. But I just thought I would add a few more notes. And here, I'll just show you, this is what I was talking about. You keep a nice bucket. See, if you keep a bucket under here, you can just use here, as you're loading, you can just let all those primers fall out. Also an easier way to clean them. If they pile up in there, there's probably over 200 in here. But yeah, you can just leave this open and with a bucket underneath it. Because I saw one YouTube person posted that that was a problem for them. But like I said, if you have it mounted close to the edge of your table, you can get away with doing things like that as well. So thanks again for watching. Just as far as durability, I'll just throw in there. I mean, I've loaded probably 5,000 rounds, maybe even more, through this machine. Nothing has failed or broken on it. I have bought extra parts. I have an extra 12 gauge guide here for the wads. Just because I thought these fingers were real flimsy. They have yet to break, so I have a spare one. I think I have an extra spare collet here and extra plate in case I lost it. And you saw that I had the 2 collets. This year's 12 gauge. Set up pretty well for 12 gauge. And that's it. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.